Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, June 17, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, let him know what that's been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we need to have a look at the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook that just came out at, well, this evening, definitely on June 17, 2025, from the forecast to color. And we can see that they're highlighting what's going to be taking place across the globe from June 25 to July 1, as well as July 2 to July 8. And we're focusing our attention on the Atlantic side of things, where we have Jamaica right here. And for the time period from June 25 to July 1, we can see that there's going to be some browns across the central to the eastern Caribbean and even the western portion of the main development region, and trailing into a portion of northern South America and even the intertropical convergence zone all the way over to Africa. We know the browns represents below average rainfall probability. Very interesting that is showing that. While we're seeing the light shades of greens across the western Caribbean, including the, let's say, left half of Jamaica or the western half, into portion of the Gulf and Central America. We know the light shades of greens represents at least a 50% chance of above average rainfall probability. And we also see that extending into the eastern Pacific, not to mention some red patterns and some red itself, that represents a 20 to 40% chance of tropical cyclone formation probability. So I'm guessing the eastern Pacific will continue to crank out a lot more systems, and the eastern Pacific is still showing something similar for the time period for July 8 to July 2 to July 8, while the Atlantic not really much of anything, but we're still seeing some light shades of browns right here closer to Africa across the intertropical convergent zone. Either way, we know usually what the US Climate Prediction Center shows on these global tropics hazards outlook is not set in stone, so we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. The forecast could definitely change. Taking a look at the US National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 7:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:11 p.m. Jamaica time. So that just came out, what, let's say 9 plus 15 minutes ago, if I'm not mistaken, considering that it is 6:24 p.m. right now. So a little bit less than 15 minutes if my calculations are correct. We can see that tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, and this is the reason why not really much of anything taking place across the Atlantic, the Gulf, the Caribbean. Just a few showers passing through the waters to the north of the ABC Islands, to the south of Hispaniola. Not really seeing much of anything across the main development region at all. Just some spotty clouds right here associated with the intertropical convergent zone. And we know if we actually get something to form, the first name on the list is going to be Andrea. However, on the eastern Pacific side of things, we now have Tropical Storm Eric. Well, we've been having Tropical Storm Eric. Well, we were expecting Eric yesterday. It was out a potential tropical cyclone. Now it has increased in the intensity and now designated a tropical storm. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite images of this system, we can see the huge envelope of clouds, showers, and thunderstorms associated with it for sure. We see the core somewhere down in here to the southwest of Guatemala. Definitely trying to get its act together. We see the reds, we see the blacks, we see all of the deep convection, not to mention the sparkling white dots that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And this system is expected to push off towards the northwest, definitely making landfall into portions of coastal Mexico. And we see the track here from the Hurricane Center. They've stated that the system is currently packing maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. So we know tropical storms, they pack winds of anywhere from 39 to 73 miles per hour. So it's up there in the intensity, about a medium range. So it's not closer to tropical depression status, it's not closer to hurricane status. Smack dab in the middle, up there in the 50 mile per hour range. Definitely a mid-range tropical storm, and it's expected to increase in intensity. As we can see, the hurricane center makes it up to an H. The H represents hurricane status, 74 miles per hour or more. And according to the hurricane center, it is moving right now to the northwest at 7 miles per hour. As you can see here, it should be right here off the Mexican coast by 12 a.m. on Thursday. That's midnight on Wednesday. Definitely making landfall sometime in the morning on Thursday, where it's expected to downgrade back to a tropical storm. As usual, if it's going to be crossing over land, it's expected to dwindle down in intensity for sure. But I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting a lot of footage out of this system, from the wind damage to the flood damage, whatever the case may be. As of right now, we have the blues, we have the reds, we have the pinks that represents tropical storm warnings, hurricane watches up for the coastline of southern and western Mexico as we speak. So we just hope that the people who reside in those areas are taking necessary precautions so that they're not that drastically affected by the wind or the flood induced the rainfall that's going to be inducing a lot of flooding. And look at the amount of rainfall totals that are expected. This map here from the hurricane center showing all of the rainfall that we are expecting to receive down here. The light greens represents 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. That's about the same as 25 to 50 millimeters of rainfall that we receive on the rain gauge. The greens, that's 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. That's about 50 to 100 millimeters of rainfall. The yellows, 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. That's about 100 to 150 millimeters of rainfall. While we're getting into the gold, the oranges and the reds, heading up from anywhere to 6 to up to 16 inches of rainfall. That's about 150 to about 400 millimeters of rainfall. We're even getting into the darker reds right here. Very interesting. That's 16 to 20 inches, 400 to 500 millimeters of rainfall. There's definitely going to be a lot of flooding coming out. Have to stay tuned to even that page called Volcaholic. Pretty sure we're going to be seeing a lot of footage coming out within the next couple of days from Mexico with the flood damage. Just hope that people are not caught off guard. We don't want to hear any news of anybody dying at all, knowing that we have all of these tools at our fingertips to tell us that a hurricane is coming. So we need to take shelter, take heed. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a tropical wave right here across a portion of Central America. We see another tropical wave right here across northeastern South America. Another tropical wave to the east of there. Another tropical wave right here off the coast of Africa to the south of the Cabo Verde Islands. And we see the ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of the tropical waves from east to west. Not to mention the low level to mid level clouds, even some Saharan dust pushing from east to west in that flow. And we can definitely see that low to mid level flow across the Caribbean, across the Atlantic. Look at the fast moving clouds, especially right in here. We see that low level flow of the clouds. Lots of thunder showers passing to the south of Hispaniola, pushing to the west. We see some of the clouds that affected us Jamaica yesterday quickly moving off towards west northwest right here. We can see the clouds associated with that tropical wave right in here, affecting portion of northern South America, section of Suriname. We also see the clouds associated with that other tropical wave affecting portion of Central America. Another tropical wave is somewhere in here, and another tropical wave is right in here, just like what the surface map showed. All of these entities pushing from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today Tuesday, June 17, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast for parts of eastern Jamaica on Tuesday morning, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Tuesday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 7:35 a.m., the infrared close-up satellite images of Jamaica were posted not only here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but it was also posted here on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see that this morning we had some thunder showers affecting portion of northeastern Jamaica. So it wasn't just eastern Jamaica was getting another rainfall at all. Even though we had a brief shower right here across St. Thomas, the brunt of the thunderstorms, if not the overcast skies, were across section of Portland, St. Mary, section of coastal St. Anne as well, with the brunt of the activity out to sea. And then at around 3:35 p.m. the visible satellite images were posted once again, and they highlighted that low-level flow of the clouds being steered from east, southeast, west, northwest across the island, quickly moving in. And then we had those clouds building, especially across sections of some central and western parishes. So we definitely had some overcast skies and some isolated thunder showers across inland areas of St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, northern St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover definitely gotten on some of the action. And we see the sparkling yellow dots in there that will represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, to prove that we did indeed receive some amount of isolated thunder shower activity. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, as stated, most of these clouds built up across mainly central and western parishes. Then the upper level clouds are being sheared off towards the southeast by those upper level winds, just as we stated would have happened in yesterday's video. We can see it all even better on the infrared satellite images. Look at these clouds pushing off from east, southeast, west, northwest, coming off of Westmoreland right here, pushing out to sea. And look at the cloud tops being streaked off from northwest to southeast by that upper level wind shear. We see the blues, we see the greens, the yellows, oranges, reds, the blacks that represent that cumulonimbus cloud cover, not to mention the sparkling white dots that represent a lot of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. I'm pretty sure that the people who reside in northern St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland definitely got it today. Lots of thunder, lots of lightning for sure, while all of this was pushing off out to sea. And we have the live camera here from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 11 a.m. showing the Devon House intersection live camera. Nothing significant taking place at that time. Definitely sunny conditions, a bit of traffic here and there, one person doing it right with their umbrella. Quite the zoom, but yep, we saw that umbrella for sure. That's what you're supposed to do, especially when it is so hot these days. We can see people in their vehicles going about their business. Nothing to do with bad weather taking place out there today. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit Sea Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the comments that came in today, we had Strong Body Mars stating, want some rain, the time hot bad. We have Javon Pantan stating, partly cloudy in Spanish Town. And I guess that was basically it for the comments for today. Not really an eventful day at all. Most of the rainfall across the north and the west. If we take a look at what's happening right now, according to the live camera from the Weather Nerds website, the live satellite imaging, not live camera, we can see that as of the latest timestamp 23:25 UTC, which is actually 6:25 p.m. So this just came out 10 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:35 p.m. right now. Not seeing much of anything across the island, just some milky whitish shades, some slight blues that represent some leftover clouds that were across the island today. Maybe some mid-level clouds, some upper level clouds. Nothing significant at all. We can still see that high cloud top being streaked off towards the southeast, but that upper level wind shear showing the thunderstorms that pushed off towards the west northwest to the west of us. And if we take a look at the live camera, well, the latest Cuban Doppler radar, the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, the latest Cayman radar. Let us see what's happening now. Unfortunately, it looks like the latest Cuban Doppler radar imagery is as of 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 12:30 p.m. Jamaica time. We know this Cuban Doppler radar glitches out a lot these days, but at that time we saw that we're definitely getting on some rainfall across sections of some northern parishes, as well as sections of western Jamaica, sections of western Westmoreland, sections of southwestern Hanover for sure. We also saw some rain bands coming in from east, southeast, west, northwest. We saw some of that activity across eastern St. Thomas. The Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar not really showing much of anything across the western peninsula of Haiti, but we do see some of that rain band activity to the northwest of Guantanamo, some isolated shores across northeastern Jamaica too. Regarding the Cayman radar, we can actually make out that moderate to heavy rainfall in the greens and the yellows that pushed off of the Westmoreland and Hanover coast today. We see the slight blues as well streaking off to the southeast, definitely showing what we just mentioned, these clouds right here. So it's making sense that we're seeing the thunderstorm out to sea right here, while we're matching it to the latest Doppler radar imagery from the Cayman radar site, and we can actually see some isolated shores right here to the south and west of the Cayman Islands. Nothing significant, just some hit or miss isolated shores. You can also see some activity across sections of central Cuba as well, some light blues into the greens, light to moderate rainfall. According to the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel at 6:38 p.m, nothing significant taking place in terms of bad weather. We can see that we have people going about their business, definitely dry conditions, a bit maybe overcast, if not maybe the sun is there but the hills might be blocking the sunlight. But look at how murky the air cover is. Very interesting to signify that it has been raining, if not last night or yesterday into today for sure. You know, it usually gets murky when there's a lot of rainfall upstream. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should be down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday, and we can see Jamaica right here, embedded in some grays and some yellows that represents average to slightly above average temperatures. I know the average temperature for the month of June across Jamaica is around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 32.2 degrees Celsius. So it should be receiving anywhere from 32.2 to 33.2 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Wednesday. And unfortunately, we have some maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online Twitter page I have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight this because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Wednesday, June 18, 2025. We're referring to Maroon Town, to Moko, all in the parish of St. James, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wharton Main Street to McGraw Road in St. Catherine from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We also have outage advisories up for Warren Minister Avenue off Weymouth Drive in the parish of St. Andrew from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Richmond Road, Scotts Hall, Platteville, Cane Heap, all in the parish of St. Mary from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we also have some outage advisories up for Deans Valley, McPhail, Galloway Dump, Withorn, Darliston, McPhail, Horton, Grove, Burnt Ground, Betheltown, Shafton, Ramble, Barneyside, Orange Hill, Lennox, Bigswood, Enfield, Content, Cane Curran, Border, Copse, Bogney, and Rose leading off, all in the parish of Westmoreland from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. We can clearly see the brunt of the dry air is across the northern portion of North Atlantic, the main development region, the portion of Florida, the Bahamas, basically all over here in the northeastern side of the Atlantic. Well, we have a lot of blues across the Gulf, across the Caribbean, across the eastern Pacific, and the intertropical convergence zone of the Atlantic. That's what we like to see. We like to be able to see the blues because you know that means we don't have much dry air there. It's a lot of moist air, and we want the moisture so that we can keep the water in our pipes because we're getting more rainfall. Regarding the Saharan dust forecast, so it just went past June 17. Now we're moving into 18, 19, and 20, and we can clearly see that we're on the low end of the scale in terms of the Saharan dust. We see the greens coming through, we see the yellows as well. Nothing significant enough for us to really see the Saharan dust in the sky. You know that the vigorous plume is represented by the reds and the pinks. Most of that is across Africa, and we hope that it remains the same way for the next couple of months. But we can clearly see that yes, Saharan dust is pushing through, but nothing significant at all to cause respiratory illnesses in some persons. Will be noticing that. We still have the high waves across the western to the central Caribbean. The purples into the pinks represents 2 to 5 meter wave heights. As a matter of fact, we're getting some very high wave heights tomorrow. Right, you have the coast of Mexico, all courtesy of Tropical Storm Eric. Definitely possibly getting up to the 6 meter wave heights or more, and that's because of the winds that are expected. Look at the winds spinning around that center of circulation tomorrow. That's Tropical Storm Eric, possibly becoming a hurricane at that time. Definitely getting up there with the tropical storm, if not hurricane force wind. And we're seeing more of a strong easterly flow across the Caribbean, moving from east, southeast to west, northeast across the western Caribbean, averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 to 25 knots at most, especially to the south of Jamaica and Hispaniola here. So it makes sense that the strongest winds are where the highest waves are being kicked up to the south of us. And if we take a look, the wave forecast for tomorrow, to the south of St. Thomas, 2.6 meter wave heights expected, 1.4 meter wave height to the south of Clarendon, 1.3 meter wave height to the south of Westmoreland, 1.2 meter wave height to the north of Hanover, 1.4 meter wave height to the north of St. Anne, to the north of Portland, 2 meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We clearly see that strong easterly flow. We see the bright greens, we see the slight yellows, averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 to 25 knots at most. Look at this, to the south of Kingston, 21 knots, to the southwest of St. Elizabeth, 25 knots. And we also see where the air is going to be piling up across inland areas of some central parishes, as well as section of some western parishes. And we can rule out something coming off of the sea into portion of St. Thomas and Portland, especially during the morning hours as usual, so look out for that. And if we actually get rainfall across some western parishes, those clouds will be building up, and then the upper level winds that are still coming out of the northwest could tear those thunderstorms off towards the southwest or towards the southeast, something similar to what took place today when we saw those cloud tops being sheared off as we saw out west. Well, something similar could definitely happen. And regarding the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7 a.m. Jamaica time. I'm going to do both maps show the fact that we're going to be receiving some rainfall across the eastern end. We see the blues represent rainfall across sections of St. Thomas and Portland for sure. So we could get in on some of that action. Regarding the afternoon forecast, this is about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. And what do both maps show? Yes, we still have some rainfall out east to receive, but look out west. We're seeing some rainfall across sections of maybe Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS modes, especially across Westmoreland and Hanover. We also see that isolated shore out east still. And regarding the actual rainfall totals, both the Euro and the GFS are adamant that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The GFS is a bit more robust with the rainfall totals out west up to 0.41 of an inch of rainfall. The Euro only up to 0.26 of an inch of rainfall out west, while the Euro is more adamant that it's going to be up to 0.43 or more of an inch of rainfall out east. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Whatever happens, we'll definitely take it because we're in the month of June. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to 110 millimeters of rainfall for the month of June. In Montego Bay's bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to 6.5 inches of rainfall for the month of June. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of June or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next one, John 68 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as you look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. So we just looked at Wednesday's forecast. Now we're looking at Thursday. 12Z is actually 7 a.m. And what do we see? A possibly landfalling tropical storm Eric into coastal Mexico. Maybe some isolated shores across the far eastern end of the island of Jamaica. Then on Thursday afternoon, looks to be some isolated shores out west. To see if the GFS shows something similar. Thursday morning, not really seeing much of anything. Thursday afternoon, maybe some isolated shores out west, just like what the Euro was showing. Friday morning, maybe some isolated shores to our north, maybe some isolated shores out east. Friday afternoon, not really seeing much of anything at all. Definitely dry conditions for the most part. Friday morning on the GFS, maybe some isolated shores to our northeast. Friday afternoon, maybe some isolated shores out west. Don't really see the consensus though. Saturday morning, nothing. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across mainly central and western parishes. Let us see what the GFS shows. Saturday morning, not really much of anything. Saturday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across central and western parishes. Interesting. Looks like the highest chance for rainfall is going to be Saturday. On Sunday morning, not really seeing much of anything. Maybe some isolated shores out east. Sunday afternoon, looks to be some southern and western parishes with that rainfall. Let's see what the GFS shows. Sunday morning, rainfall to our northwest, to our northeast, rainfall to our southwest as well. Then on Sunday afternoon, it's going to be some rainfall across sections of some northern and western parishes. That's what Monday morning is showing. On Monday morning, rainfall to our north, or even affecting northern Jamaica. Monday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Then we're stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. So this is valid for Tuesday, June 24. We're not seeing much of anything across Jamaica, but we do see an abundance of moisture affecting Hispaniola, even the waters to the south of there extending down to the ABC Island. What does the GFS show? Monday morning, rain to our north, rainfall in the southwestern Caribbean. Monday afternoon, rainfall across northwestern Jamaica. And then we're stopping it at the end of the 1 John 68 hours as well. So this is valid as well for Tuesday, June 24. Not seeing that crazy moisture to the south of Hispaniola, but we see some rainfall across Hispaniola, maybe the Dominican Republic. We also see some rainfall to the south of Jamaica, to the west, well, to the southwest of us into Central America. We're seeing some of that rainfall into the Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago as well. Very interesting. But regarding the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that over the next 7 days, the most rainfall still should be across section of northern South America, into section of Central America, where we see the dark reds into the purples and the pinks. That represents what we see here on the key on the right. That's the 2 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall range. While we're seeing the light shades of greens into the yellows, oranges, and reds, that represents close to 1 inch of rainfall for areas such as the Leeward and Windward Islands, the Greater Antilles, the Bahamas, Florida, into portions of the Yucatan. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement with that forecast. And regarding the total amount of rainfall expected over the next 7 days across Jamaica, the Euro is still adamant that the most rainfall should be across section of the eastern end and the western end. We're seeing the greens into the yellows, that represents anywhere from 15 all the way up to maybe 40 millimeters of rainfall. GFS is a bit more reserved, showing most of the rainfall out in the northwest, up into the 30 millimeters of rainfall range in the yellows. The east, maybe some blues into slight greens, represents 10 to 15 millimeters, but that's basically it. We'll see all of that plays out and I'll definitely be sure to keep you posted with what occurs. Taking a look at the visible satellite images of the rest of the Caribbean, as stated, we have some low to mid-level clouds pushing through the windward islands with some amount of moisture passing to the north of the ABC Islands, passing to the south of Hispaniola, passing to the south of Jamaica for the most part, pushing towards the west, towards the Yucatan and Belize. We're also seeing a lot of moisture across sections of the Central America region, not to mention the usual thunderstorm activity across northern South America. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images in and around Puerto Rico, let's see what's happening down there. Not seeing much of anything across Puerto Rico, but we do see some isolated shores across the far eastern end of the Dominican Republic. Loading these images from earlier today, we also saw where we had some rainfall across southeastern Dominican Republic near St. Martin as well. Regarding the Barbados radar, we're seeing that rainfall that we just saw on the satellite imagery, pushing from east to west, some light to moderate to some even slightly heavy rainfall coming through into portions of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Grenada. We're also seeing some of that moisture coming into portions of Tobago, maybe in Trinidad later on. And regarding the weather wave Doppler radar images, you can see some rainfall across western Florida, sections of Cuba, section of the Yucatan, northern Guatemala, Belize, western Honduras, waters to the north of the ABC Islands, Venezuela, section of northeastern Venezuela as well. And regarding where the most rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, as well, still across section of Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Colombia, sections of Venezuela, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, section of the Yucatan's eastern coast, section of the Cayman Islands with some isolated shores in the Greens, so too Jamaica, so too southwestern Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Florida, the northern Bahamas. You also see some isolated shores in store for section of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago as well, maybe even spilling into section of the ABC Islands. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.